She was very, very close to death. Again, 39 pounds or 35 pounds at 14 years old.
Outagamie County adults are facing child neglect charges this coming months after authorities were called to their home in the town of Oneida. They found a 14-year-old girl there close to death. The three suspects seen behind me appeared in court for a judge today.
Goodman lived in the home with his wife, Melissa, her adult stepsister, Savannah Lefevre, and Lefevre's partner, Kayla Stemler.
So we've all heard of cases of neglect, but this one's pretty sad. The story here begins on Hattie Lane in the town of Oneida, the land shared between Outagamie County and the sovereign Oneida Nation of Wisconsin. Here, the county law and the tribal law sort of overlap like two mismatched puzzle pieces. So when emergencies happen, that overlap can decide who responds and how fast. That jurisdictional blur became the backdrop for one of Wisconsin's most recent, most shocking neglect cases.
The Oneida Nation Reservation is located in parts of Brown and Outagamie counties. You may enter the reservation without even realizing it, but from the air, it's hard to miss. With turtle-shaped roundabouts and a turtle-shaped school in honor of one of the nation's clans. To truly understand the Oneida people, you need to know their history. Tribal elder Lee Gordy McClester has researched the Oneida Nation's background for decades.
They think that the formation of what we call the Iroquois Confederacy, or the people of the Haudenosaunee, goes back about 1,100 years.
The Oneida Nation originated in upstate New York, but European settlers eventually pushed them out of the area, effectively splitting the nation into three factions: one in New York, one in Canada, and one in Wisconsin.
So when investigators arrived that August morning, the father had already called 911 to report that his 14-year-old daughter was unresponsive. The statements that followed painted a portrait of a household where explanations were plentiful, but none really matched reality. The father, Walter, told police that his daughter, quote, didn't like to eat or sleep, claiming that her decline was just sudden, but he admitted that she hadn't seen a doctor in years. The detectives later noted that his version didn't align with her visible condition or the subsequent medical findings. And the irony? A few years earlier, he had shared a meme on social media of a lion protecting its cub with the caption, "Me, my daughter, no matter how old she is." So it's a bit ironic, isn't it? But Savannah, a relative of the father's wife, portrayed herself as a household caretaker. She said that the girl always had access to food and that she could eat whenever she wanted. But when detectives asked when the last time they'd all shared a meal together or who checked on her, she had no consistent answer. Kayla, Savannah's live-in partner, said that the teen got 3 meals a day, but sometimes tried to sneak sweeter foods like candy and toaster pastries. But investigators found that claim was hard to square with the medical evidence showing long-term deprivation. Taken together, these interviews showed a family united only in denial. Each adult pointed to the signs of normalcy, while every piece of evidence told the opposite story.
This is the house on Hattie Lane in the town of Oneida, where authorities were called to in August. It set off a child neglect investigation. Walter Goodman, Savannah Lefevre, and Kayla Stemler were arrested Monday and charged with multiple counts of child neglect.
Quite frankly, these allegations before the court today are incredibly disturbing. And it's alleged that the minor child was, quite frankly, living in a house of horrors.
Hospital records confirmed that the girl was in critical condition from long-term malnutrition and organ failure. One nurse recalled her eyes lighting up when she told the girl that she could receive 3 meals a day, proof that eating had become a privilege, not a routine in the household. But in a house full of food and adults claiming that she just wouldn't eat, the contradictions became impossible to ignore, especially given the size of some of its occupants. Oh, and before we start getting complaints from the body positivity crowd about how I'm describing this scenario, I'm positive that 2 of the bodies in that home were getting all the calories. And you know how I know that? It's in the police report. Here, I'll just read it out. As of August 2025, Walter had been diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver and was on the transplant list. Melissa and Savannah were extremely obese to the point of nearly being bedbound and rarely left the residence. So you can say what you want, but someone in that house, or should I say someone's, were getting fed, and one little girl was not.
According to the criminal complaint, the first officer on scene said the girl looked to be only 6 to 8 years old. Hospital staff said she weighed less than 40 pounds.
The last time she saw a medical provider was approximately 5 years before this incident came to light. She was very, very close to death. Again, 39 pounds or 35 pounds at 14 years old.
During the investigation, authorities learned Goodman lived in the home with his wife, Melissa, her adult stepsister, Savannah Lefevre, and Lefevre's partner, Kayla Stemler. A 15-year-old boy identified as Melissa Goodman's son was also in the home. The complaint said Walter Goodman told authorities his daughter didn't like to eat or sleep. He claimed they offered her meals, but she wouldn't eat. Hospital staff said the teen suffered from severe malnutrition. She had signs of multi-organ dysfunction, including respiratory failure, cardiac dysfunction, severe acute hepatitis, pancreatitis, among other issues.
Within days, all 3 adults were arrested and charged with multiple counts of child neglect, causing great bodily harm. Bail was set at $150,000 each for Walter and Kayla, $100,000 for Savannah. A prosecutor called it one of the most disturbing cases she had seen in her 25-year career. Investigators concluded that every adult in the home had ample opportunity to seek help long before that August morning, but none of them chose to. In fact, they had text message exchanges on Facebook where they called the girl a dummy, and in some cases the dad said to another that he wished that he could leave her in the woods.
This is the most egregious case of child neglect I think I have ever personally seen in my nearly 25-year career.
The criminal complaint said while hospitalized, one of the nurses explained to the victim she would get 3 meals a day. The nurse, noting the girl's eyes, lit up as she started listing off all the options of food she could have over the course of her hospitalization. She continued, saying her dad would be so mad because he doesn't like when she eats so much.
Neglect isn't the only absence of care, it's also the refusal to act when action could save someone. And in this case, the guilt extends far beyond just one doorway. Inside that house, every adult failed the same child, but they weren't the only ones who knew about this. Oh, no. There were 2 associates of the father. Let's call them T and D. Each had a situation and a view close up as to what was happening. D, as we'll call her, had a relationship with the father at the time as they were dating and had observed the child's condition but stayed silent about it. T, a friend of the father, also knew something was wrong, and neither of them called authorities or reported anything. So it's just not complicity, it's the consent by inaction. When you have witnesses of the suffering and they do nothing, you choose a side. And in this case, the silence chose the wrong one. So I think here it's best for people to kind of sit back and just understand here how so many adults in and outside of this home failed this child. And not to mention the numerous amounts of text messages between the adults referring to the child as a dummy or as stupid, and the admission from the friend Tony about how the dad explicitly and overtly said he wished he could kill and just leave the girl in the woods. So I don't know about you, but throw all the adults away. All of them are trash. So that's all I have to say for now about this. I'm the commentary king. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but I can tell you by the way that some of those folks in the house have been eating, they hadn't missed a meal, unlike that child. So see you next time.